This is Jenny.
And this is Cassie.
You're listening. It got weird. Welcome, guys. Welcome to It Got Weird. I am Jenny. I am the married one in the United States.
And this is Cassie, the unmarried but happily taken one living in Amsterdam. And we have a special guest today.
Yes.
I'm Jessie. I'm also from the United States, and I guess I'm single and divorced. So there's a perspective.
Double whammy.
Congrats.
Thank you. Nobody ever says that, but I appreciate it.
It truly is a victory.
And we've got producer Brian, who's going to be doing his best with all of our technical issues, and we can't thank him enough. Producer Brian.
Oh, thank you for having me. And now I've got 3 of you.
Yay. You've never been so excited to record a podcast.
2 wasn't enough.
No.
Living the dream.
So today we are going to be hearing and meeting and diving into everything about the amazing Jessie and talking about her psycho encounters, because we've all, well, if you are lucky enough to not have a psycho encounter, then listen to this and then thank the lucky stars that you have the partner that you have, because psycho encounters are a normal situation. And we are recording today with a little bit of a heavy heart, and we will get into that also down the road. But Cass, what are you and Jessie drinking?
Well, today we have a fine Tempranillo that we purchased from the grocery store. So we're feeling fancy this Monday. Just red wine. What are you drinking?
I am on a new old-fashioned kick with Buffalo Trace bourbon, some awesome bitters, and a orange twist, fancy, and a sphere ice cube because
Super fancy then.
I wanted to be extra.
You probably should. Yeah. Makes sense.
Brian, what are you drinking?
Oh, I'm sticking with the coffee and whiskey. Whiskey and coffee.
Sounds good.
I want to see that ratio one day.
Yeah, it gets less coffee every time we record one of these.
I'm going to take that
You're
as
welcome.
a compliment. So, Cass, do we have any awkward apologies from the last time?
I've been pretty well behaved because I haven't been in the country, so I don't think so.
No, you've been on your best behavior?
Uh-huh. Yeah, obviously. Totally been on my best behavior.
Well, this does not happen often. I had a terrible experience at a restaurant called Progress. Now, when you're naming a restaurant and you're going to get reviews, you probably don't want to have the title be something that can become a pun. But
Sure.
it got to the point where we had a brunch and the ladies that I was with said, man, I really hope they start to make some progress because this is a shitty place.
Great joke.
Thanks.
Bad.
So brunch was awful, but I had heard that their regular service would be amazing. And it was one of those times where we had the kids and we were needing to eat someplace. And I said, we could go try this place, but it was so terrible. I don't know if I want to risk a meal in this situation.
Well, how terrible? What was going on?
Okay.
Classified it into that way.
So in the brunch, we had a table of 10. And in my review, I'll copy the review and post it on Instagram because I was very detailed. It was so obnoxious to the point where I set timer because they brought out my plate. And then 10 minutes went by and they brought out a second person's plate. And then 13 minutes went by and 2 more plates came down. I mean, it probably took 45 minutes for everyone to get their food before, because you're with a big group, so you want to wait and be polite, to the point where we were waiting on a BLT for 15 minutes. And I went up to the chef and said, I think you forgot a BLT. And he goes, no, we're working on it. I'm like, it's a fucking BLT.
It's not that hard, bro.
What the fuck? And then we waited another like 40 minutes after everyone was done. We did have a late stride and order food. I get that. But we all had our credit cards on the table and waited at least 30 to 40 minutes before we got tickets.
Jesus.
And they weren't busy. Like, I come from a restaurant background, so like I have empathy for certain situations. They never once had a person waiting at the door. It took us, I think it was like 2.5 hours, 3 hours to have this brunch. And it was just a big miss. And I'm like, some people just can't do breakfast food, so that's fine.
You know what's really funny is it took an extended period of time to get that meal down, but in Europe, that's entirely normal to take that long for food.
And I thought of you
frustrating as hell, man.
Because you said when you get here, have a little bit of grace. And I'm usually okay if I have alcohol. I'm like, you know what, if my drink's okay, like maybe we'll just order a bottle. So then it's up to us.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if I have a drink, I'm usually okay. But I was also cleansing.
Oh no.
And so
I would have jumped ship, dude. I'd have been like, I got diarrhea, I gotta go. And just like fucking dodged out of there. I would never have sat there that long on a cleanse.
So I was fucking cranky. And I was like, listen, I was pissed. So we took a chance and went back, and it was a phenomenal meal, to the point where and these people have not taken their own photos and put it on Yelp or any of the other reviews. Like, I don't know if they're just wanting this to be organic, but if you get a bad review, it's going to fuck you up. So I took some of my pictures, I put it out there, and it was a great experience. But it was interesting that I looked over and I saw the beverage director kind of whisper to his staff and look at me. And then he's like, we got this, guys. We got this. Let's knock it out of the park. And I'm like, okay. Because they only have
they're bullpinning. They're bullpenning for you.
And
well done.
I may be a little like full of myself right now, but they only had 3 reviews and mine was the bad one. So I think he recognized me because I definitely made eye contact with him that brunch, because he was networking with some people and he saw that like we had half of our table of food, and I'm staring at him. Can someone fucking step in and run some goddamn food? Because all the other tables in this restaurant had their food. There was one ticket in the window. It should not take 30. I know I'm dragging this on, but it should not take 30 minutes for a fucking BLT. Unless you're butchering the pig in the back, which good for you. I don't know.
I mean, that's entirely fair.
But you can't yell at the waiters. That they're a protected class.
She wasn't even around for me to yell at, which was fine. I knew it wasn't her fault though.
It's
like, no, it wasn't her fault.
Like, I don't know when, like, I listen, I was a waiter. How out of all of us, have we all waited tables, everybody?
You were a waiter when it was called being a waiter. We were servers, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Servers, cocktails.
Still, I don't understand how waiters and waitresses became a protected class. Like, you know, we made money, like that you get paid to serve food. That was the whole point. You go back there and yell at the kitchen staff if you need to.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, totally.
Right now, you guys are getting quiet because you're like, Brian, you're not supposed to pick on waiters and waitresses. I don't understand how that happened. Like, you go back and you yell at the kitchen staff because they're affecting your ability to make money.
I was never allowed to yell at my kitchen staff. I could go back and sweet talk them, but I could never yell at them.
I agree with Brian a little bit. Go push the cooks if you have to, or tell them that their food looks shitty and they need to redo it, or give me something new. I would do it.
You're the communicator between the restaurant and everything.
Her parents also owned the fucking bar and restaurant. So to be fair,
I've worked other places. I've worked at 4 different. But
I just don't understand how waiters and waitresses become somebody that we don't want to talk about. Like, we wouldn't talk about a single mom or something else. Like, I just don't understand how, like, they became this protected class of citizen that we can't, like, if you're not doing your job, you're not doing your job. But and then it's a thing. It's like, oh, well, he was mean to the waiter or waitress, so he must be a douchebag. No, I'm mean to the person that's supposed to be taking care of me. Like that's their job today. They're here to take care of us.
Or there's a manager on the floor that
or
the server could talk to and make them go talk to the cook.
And I was looking, I'm like, at some point someone's coming to this table and I'm at a point where I'm timing shit. Like that's how ridiculous it got that I got to the point where I was timing shit. I know. And in my review, I'm like, I understand how absurd this sounds that I'm timing shit, but this is how I waited 10 minutes before I started the timer. Like this is fucking ridiculous. And I'm like, at some point a manager's going to come over. And if a manager comes over, I told myself that a manager comes over and realizes that shit may have gone wrong, I'm not going to write a review. Like, because I know how like crazy that is to a business where a bad review can go. And I only gave 3 stars. Like I still was gracious with that. Anyway, they definitely made up for it. So just skip the brunch. And yeah, so that's my awkward apology for that situation. And by the way, I have worked at places where you have to look at the chef, and it's like a chef. It's not just like a cooking, like it's not like Applebee's or Fridays. Like you're looking at the chef, and if you don't look correctly, you're not getting your shit. Like you have to plead to the staff. So
prioritized.
Yeah. God.
Well, whenever I was waiting tables 1,000 years ago, I have threatened kitchen staff. Like I have went back there and threatened the chef and said, if you don't get this shit done, these people are going to leave, so like. I
bribed the cooking staff and not the chef, but I bribed them with pot. That's how I got shit done. Pot. I was like, listen, when we get out of here, I'm going to find someone that sells some really good stuff if you can help me out. And they then helped me out.
Okay.
And we'll be happy at the end of this experience.
Sorry, Atlanta, but that's how I got shit done.
Whatever works, man.
Yeah.
Like anybody doesn't believe that everybody in a kitchen is smoking pot. That's a real thing.
Correct. They just wanted free good stuff. And so I made it happen. Brian, do you have an apology by chance?
I do, actually. I need to apologize to my kids. Like, the older they get, the more I start cussing. Like, I mean, I cuss a lot to begin with, but like the other day I was teaching my son a life lesson he shit on the toilet. Like he literally left shit on the toilet.
Why?
And I'm like, you little bastard. Life lesson number 1, clean up your own shit. Like, like both figuratively and literally, like throughout your life, make sure that you're cleaning up your own shit. Like,
it's a good lesson to learn.
Yeah. And my wife's looking at me. She's like, did you just tell your 10-year-old son to clean up his own shit? I said, yes, that's a life lesson that he needs to learn. Clean up your own shit.
It's an important one, though, and it's applicable in many different situations.
Yeah, I can't believe he shit on the toilet.
Well, I mean, it was just like he's young and he's just a boy. They just do stupid things. And I'm like, I get it. Like you were, whatever, you were lazy or you wanted to go do something else or whatnot, but like, don't leave that for somebody else.
I'm going to hug my son when I see him next.
My son is amazing. Let me tell you something. Now I know, like I just made him sound horrible. He's amazing. He's super conscientious most of the time, things like that, but kids slip. And like I said, I'm apologizing for using bad language in front of my kids, but
they slip and the shit comes out.
Yeah. And then they leave it there.
And then they leave it there.
And I had to find out from my daughter. Like she's the one that can't. She's like, I can't use that bathroom. I'm going to go use your bathroom. Why are you using our bathroom? Because my brother left, a streak. And I'm like, well, what is going on? Why is this happening in our household? Get your brother in here. And then I taught him life lesson number 1: clean up your own shit.
Okay, you think that's bad? When I was pregnant with my first, I met this couple that were friends with. Well, the guy was friends with my husband, and he was just dating this chick, and she had twins. And the very first time of meeting her, she was nice, and I was pregnant, but she was nice, and she brought me a thing of brownies to meet me. And I'm like, oh, this could go well because you're bringing gifts the first time you meet someone. And they're having you in your home. Like, I was like, okay, that's kind of like East Coast style. Okay, awesome. But then she also brought her baby book, and I was like, oh, baby book, like your kid's baby book. She's like, oh, no,